Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making project. In this episode we're going to make a gorgeous card and I'm going to call it A Little Bird Told Me because I thought it would be really fun to use some of the stamps from the mini word stamps and dies. Now you know how Anna has the treasury set with different collections. This is one of the collections that goes in the treasury set, and it's the one that's got the written words in, all that they're all in one, and it's got the butterflies and little birds. So it's called the Mini Word Stamps and Dies. That was that collection. So we're going to make a gorgeous card. We've got a great technique in this as well. You're going to love it. It's something a little bit different. You're not going to hear the words create out of my mouth at all because, not fibbing to you, I'm filming this long before I go to create. So I know I'll have probably just got back, but I won't have time to film something for today after I get back. So this is prepared in advance. So I can only presume that my other self that's just got back has had a good time. So, and I'm not even going to say it was great meeting you or anything because I'd be fibbing. So don't be thinking that I've not mentioned it because I've not enjoyed myself. I just haven't really been yet. So that'll be on next week's videos, I would have thought. Okay, so what we're going to need is our base card. This is a 7x5 inch card. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog as always. And I will also include the colours of the inks, etc. that we're going to use shortly for our technique. Now I've used a bone folder just to make sure that I've got a nice sharp score along the top of the card. We're going to go to the inside first, and this is where we're going to use our technique. Now the main thing that I always think for making any card is, or scrapbook page, you want to have fun doing it. And this kind of started off as something a little bit different, and for me it progressed into this, and I thought, oh yes, we can do that. So what happened was I was stamping with the stamps, the bird stamps, and I was actually stamping in white on ivory, and it wasn't showing up very well. However, then I thought, oh, you know what, I think I'll stamp them and I'll heat emboss them with clear, so it's given a watermark effect on the insert. Now, got to be honest, this insert isn't going to be one that you can put a lot of writing on. So if you like to write an essay to whoever you're sending your card to, you might want to do that on a separate piece of paper. Or position your birds a little bit better around the edge. So I just was happy stamping and I got carried away, and I just thought, oh well, I'm not going to write a great long message on this. So, but I stamped all the birds and then heat embossed them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ink slightly around the edge. Because I've inked on the front of the card on the little birds, these are going to match. Now I've got 3 inks and I'm going to go quite quickly. I've got Wild Honey, Worn Lipstick and Weathered Wood. Now you could use any colours, it's up to you. I'm using the colours that match from the outside, that I've used on the outside. And I'm simply going to go around the edge, and you'll see I'm doing it on protected paper. I normally have my inking mat, but to be fair, I've left it over there. So I'm using scrap paper and I'm just inking around the edge. I'm not trying to be really careful. All I'm trying to do is get the ink on the actual cardstock, but I'm only taking it around the edge and I'm going really, really fast. So there we go. That's the first colour. And I think you always go with the palest colour because you can always add more dark colour than pale. Now I'm just going to dot rather than blend a little bit of the red, just as if I'm stenciling, and just in a few places round the edge to give it a little bit of a different effect. There we go. You can blend if you want, if you're happier blending like that. Just blend it in. And then the last colour that we're going to use is the weathered wood, and this is the darker colour. So this is the colour that we're going to just kind of do both techniques with this one, dot and blend. And again, we're not being that careful, we're just picking up little areas around the edge because we just want it to tone in. Okay, so that's our inking done. Now I've used distress inks because they're going to dry quick for me, and now I'm just going to use a scrap of kitchen roll, and I'm simply going to now just give that a little bit of a buff and polish, as we say. And then the actual heat embossed birds, look how pretty they are now. Because we heat emboss them, where the actual heat embossing is, that won't hold the ink. So the ink is only held around the birds. So you could go a bit stronger for the birds to show up even more, or you could just keep it nice and light like I have. And that is our insert, and that I think is going to match perfectly. So now we can add this to our card, and it's going to just tone in so well with the outside. And if I get ink over everything, you'll have to excuse me, because obviously I haven't washed my hands now and I'm probably covered. Okay, so we can add that to the centre of our card, and you can see the little birds. And I've used one of the word stamps that's from the collection with the birds and the butterflies. I've stamped it out and I've used one of the dies. Thank you so much. This would be a great card for, you know, teachers, thanking people for just general good deeds. So now we can turn our attention to the front of the card. Bone folder again to make sure we've got a nice sharp edge. Now the base layer is Anna's metallic blue, and as I've just set all this out, I prepped it last week actually, and just as I was prepping it, just as I was setting it out for the video, I thought, well, why didn't I be economical with the centres here? I've done 2 layers and both of them are full layers. So normally I'm quite economical. I will use this section for parts, you know, the rest of the card, where you can't see it, where I'm actually matting and layering, because now I'm wasting this section. Tut tut, I can't believe I've done that. I'm so naughty. So my next layer is black, and it's just a standard black cardstock. So that's called matting and layering to make that effect. Now my next layer is peach cardstock from the Perfect palette, and I've embossed it using the herringbone embossing folder from the collection For Him from Anna, and then using the 3 inks that we've used on the inside, the weathered wood, the warm lipstick and the wild honey, I've just simply inked the embossed areas, and then I've taken it back through my machine to flatten it down again, and it's given me and kind of a little bit embossed in places, but it's given me the pattern from the ink. So I think that looks really cool, actually. I think it's a good technique, is that one, to emboss ink and then flatten it. I just put the piece of card between two more pieces of flat card, put it through the machine, and you actually get an imprint of the ink on one of the pieces of card, so you could use that as a background. So that's our background on there. Next, I've used one of the dies from the Fretwork 2 collection, and I've used the same peach cardstock as I used to emboss and ink, but this time I've left it just as it is, so we can add that to our card. I've already added a little bit of glue on parts of the die cut, so I know it'll stick down. Next, I've been using the Bohemian dies from Anna. Sorry, the Bohemian cut and emboss die set, and I've been using them in the same peach cardstock from the Perfect palette and the blue metallic. So I've been creating the shadow layer in the blue metallic layers. They're the 7x5 layers from Anna, and then the peach is the fancy layer. So I'm simply going to add that to the centre. It's on 3D foam on the back. I've gone ahead and added the fancy layer to the base shadow layer, just to save us a little bit of time. That's all. And you can see how, actually, do you know something? I've got to be honest, I've been looking down at this as I've been doing it, and I've just looked up to look in the camera, and the effect that it's showing on the sides where I've inked it, that looks great, doesn't it? That really stands out. I like that very much. So then I've used two more sections from the Bohemian dies. Again, the shadow layer's on the blue, and then the fancy layer is the peach. And I'm simply going to add these to the top of our middle layer, just slightly to the sides. So we've got one left and one right, like that. Press those down, and then for the centre of our sentiment, I've used my Xyron machine, and I've used a base image of black, the shadow layer, shall we say, and then I've got a sentiment layer to go over the top, again from the mini word and stamp collection, and then I've cut out the two shadows of the little birds. They're on 3D foam, and then the actual birds themselves I've stamped and heat embossed in clear, and then I've used the same inks that we used for the inside to give them some colour, and I'm just going to add them to either side of our centre of our card, like that. Just add them on the black. The black really makes the little birds stand out. And pop them at either side. It makes it look like they're carrying the sentiment. And then to finish the card off, I've got a little blue bow that I think we'll put at the bottom, like that. And that is our card finished. Something a little bit different. You can see how the inside, it just works. Stands up nicely. We've got quite a few layers on there, but not so many, maybe 4 or 5 layers. We've got some overlapping of layers, so that makes it even more tight. It's quite a heavy one actually, with the black layers, because the black cardstock's quite heavy. But what a pretty card. I love those birds. Look how pretty they are. So please, comment on Facebook or on my blog if you comment on YouTube, I can't get back to you. So I do get people asking me questions on YouTube, and I can't really answer you because my replies disappear. So please bear that in mind, because I've got a glitch on my account. I've actually got a new glitch, but that's something completely different. So please feel free to comment. Please feel free to share. Share on Facebook. Share in your crafty forums, in the groups that you're members of. It's just great that we all craft together and we all enjoy it. And I'm just so pleased that you enjoy the inspiration that, you know, that I give and the ideas that I bring you, because I enjoy making the videos. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.